Hmm. What's up, guys? Tonight it is Teach Me Chill at the Gym. So I can only spend a few minutes, but I don't have a video for you tonight. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. What's up, Nelson? Hmm. So let some more people come in. Looks like we're in the mid-20s. Yeah, I have a house. Well, I have a townhouse. What's up, guys? Um, so the story goes like this. I live in a townhome, and there are 3 units in the building. And out of these 3 units, one of them is mine. And my unit is upstairs above 3 garages. The first garage is my garage. The second garage is my neighbor. The third garage is my neighbor too. But the middle garage, it's right next to my garage. He had an RC car, like batteries, and unfortunately, I guess they were plugged. I don't know how this happens, but I guess they overheat. It was plugged in and it overheated and caused a fire due to the batteries, and it caught fire. And luckily, someone saw smoke bellowing out of the garage, and they called the fire department. Fire department came. Nobody was home, and it was in the middle of the day, and they knocked on the door. Nobody answered, so they bust down the door, got into the garage, put out the fire. So fortunately, my place has very minimal damage. They poked a hole through the drywall into my um, garage, but other than that, it's not really all that bad. It was horrible for my neighbor. Um, Obviously, it could have been way worse. Someone didn't call 911, the whole thing would have went up. So yeah, and we weren't home, but there's so much smoke. It's crazy. Even from his garage just being on fire, it's amazing the amount of fumes that are still there, and they rise and they got up into my unit. And it's so bad that I'm here staying the night at the gym. So this is what I get to sleep. I got my little air mattress right here, and be sleeping here on the mats. So yeah, hope that they can repair the fire damage on the building, and I hope that you know everything's all right. So when I go back home, it's tomorrow. I'll be checking to see how the smoke is. Right now, I'm trying to air it out, ventilate it. So yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on. So I don't. Yeah, it's okay. It's really. It's not that bad. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. But I just thought I'd just do it live. And yeah, thank you guys. Thought I'd do a live session and just talk a little bit before I go to bed. And really tired. I've been working so hard, and there's tons of things to do. I'm so behind, but I'm having a blast too. So I'm excited. So, so what's going on, guys? I'll uh, I'll just ramble a little bit more about stuff I got on my mind right now. We have our kids are wrestling at the CIF championships this weekend. So that's the like the division championships for the state. The state is broken up into like 10 sections, and in those sections, we are in the largest section of California, and it's separated into, I believe, 6 or maybe even 7 divisions now. So our kids are going to be competing. We have a very small team this year of only 6 varsity wrestlers, boys, and 1 varsity girl. So all 6 are battling this weekend, and I'm expecting us to do pretty well. So anyway, that's what's going on. I have a I have a shoulder lock video that I will put out sometime soon. I haven't filmed it yet, but last week I kind of stumbled on a shoulder lock, and I've got some cool new technique off of a shoulder lock that I would love to film and give to you guys. So people fight crazy. JCB Paris. I don't know what he's talking about, but yeah. So I've got that shoulder lock coming out. The name right now is called the Ameriplata. So I've got a new shoulder lock called the Ameriplata, but I'm sure it's more like a rediscovery. I'm sure somebody does it somewhere. I mean, actually, I've seen it before. I was taught something similar before in the gi years ago, but what I've done is I've come up with like a certain finish, and so it's not like a whole new move, but it's more like a game to play guard and to attack a shoulder lock, and just to get into a really cool shoulder lock that most of you guys have probably never seen. So as of right now, the name is the Ameriplata. So I'll release that video soon. Still got to film it, and then I got to figure out how much I want to show on one video if I want to break it into a series, because it's got quite a bit of stuff to it. So, and I'm kind of creating a little game around it, but and I'm discovering new things every day. So maybe it's probably better I wait and develop more. So Max like goes, if any of Coach Brian's students are reading this, hook the brother up with a room. No, guys, it's okay. Like I had a lot of people offer rooms to me, but I like sleeping in the gym, to be honest. So I've slept in this gym before when I first opened, and I was building it out. So this has been my home in the past, and I actually enjoy it. It's kind of fun. So it's like camping. So just camping in your gym. So yeah, Monica, I actually have a bed right here. It's pretty cool. So I got my air mattress. I don't know if you guys can see this thing. It's bitching. So look at that. Look at how big that thing is. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's like way off the ground. So so it's sweet. No, it's gonna be comfy. It's cold out here, but I got the heater on. So yeah, you know what? The crash pad, I've used the crash pad as a bed before too. And something I might do, I might put this air mattress on top of the crash pad. Then it'll be really plush. So yeah. So it's gonna be cool. Yeah. So man, I am tired. So I hope you guys are doing well. Um, Nobody's really saying too much. Yeah, things are good. So you know what? Something funny. I've been reading comments, and I can't, or I could, but I'm struggling to reply. There's just so many comments, and I'm so busy with so many projects and things that I'm doing. But I got a comment. I think it was yesterday. I was laughing my ass off. I have one video, guys, that I'm not real proud of. Like at first, I was proud of it, but as it turns out, I got such a bad response. It's probably the worst video I've ever done, and it's a video on how to properly drill the double leg, something like that. And everyone hates that video. So I kind of wish that I didn't do it, or maybe I didn't edit it the way I edited it. And the problem is I edited and I said what not to do in the teaser at the beginning, and then the video starts out on what not to do, and then my student, um, he was struggling to be a good partner, and then I went on a rant about being a good partner, and it just people felt like, and then the whole like gist of the video everybody missed. It like went right over their head, so they didn't understand at all like what I was trying to show. It was such an important video, but everybody seemed to miss it. And not everybody. When I say everybody, I just mean a lot of people. They thought uh, that I wasn't showing anything worthwhile, but how little do they know that like so many people drill that way. So getting to the point, I got a comment that somebody told me that me, my gym equals McDojo. And I was laughing my ass off. It kind of, it hurts. It hurts down deep inside. No, it doesn't. But I just laughed. But I thought it was a funny little, what's the word? Like insult. You know, I was so insulted. He called me McDojo. I found it very surprising because I typically think of myself as like the polar opposite. Like I'm the realist. I'm the guy that's like very fair. I even a lot of times hedge what I say, and I don't try to oversell what I do. So anyway, am I sure it's not haunted? Jenna asks. Yeah, my gym's not haunted. It's cold, but if you start to train now, you will feel better. Yeah. What city and state? I'm in Valencia, California, right by Six Flags. Yeah. Jacob Summers. So a guy from your gym fought on Street Beefs not too long ago, and he lost. Any words on that? Yeah, I know that I've gotten that comment in a couple of the comment sections. I think I replied. Um, so I'll tell you guys the little Street Beef story that I know, my side that I know. I don't know everything, but um, so I have a student that was a wrestler of mine and jiu-jitsu kid. Um, he started training maybe when he was, I want to say 12, maybe 11 or 12, and probably 11. And his name's Corey, and he's a good kid. Not a super amazing athlete, but he was a good kid. He wrestled really well. He did jiu-jitsu well, and um, he wrestled for me in high school, and he ended up like placing seventh, I believe, in the CIF championships, which is our division. He didn't get to go to state. He wasn't quite that good, but he's a good wrestler for us. He helped us win the CIF championship a couple of years ago. So Corey has not been training lately at all. In fact, the last time he trained was probably 1 year before he did that. And his story, I ended up hearing about it pretty much immediately after it hit the internet. Everybody said, "Hey, you got this guy with a Peterson Grappler's rash guard. Is that one of your guys?" And he ends up getting, you could say, TKO'd, whatever. They stopped the fight. He got punched in the throat. So they stopped the fight. He was getting his ass kicked pretty good. So I talked to him and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's just said, he heard they were in town. He's kind of a fan of the channel, Street Beefs, and he just said, "Hey, let's do it." And he asked his dad. His dad was cool, and he's young. He's probably only 19, I believe. He might be 20 actually. I think he's 20 now. And so they went down there and he had a fight. The guy was a little bit bigger than him. And again, Corey he looked like he had no skill. So, I mean, he was just walking right into punches. His wrestling didn't really look good. His wrestling looked horrible. In fact, if he had wrestled, he probably would have done great. But he just pretty much walked into punches. Again, he hasn't trained in over a year. I mean, it's making excuses for him, but it's true. I mean, the kid hasn't trained. He actually, believe it or not, several years ago, like 8 years. I mean, he grew up with a little bit of kickboxing too, and he did a couple pancration fights. I mean, the kid was okay back then, but all I'm gonna say, guys, he didn't look good that day. He looked horrible, and he hasn't trained. So when you're just coming off the couch and you're not geared up, and obviously he hasn't done enough where it's in his muscle memory. So it's very embarrassing for him to even do it, but he chose to do it. And his dad said it was cool, so they went down there and did it. I wasn't very proud of him. I was kind of pissed. As an instructor, I was like, "Hey, you don't do that. It's super dangerous too." I mean, those guys, I'm glad that dude stopped it. Corey's a tough kid, I'll tell you that. We built him into being a tough kid. He took some punishment, kept coming, but he said he wanted to keep fighting, but he had to take a moment because he got hit in the throat. Couldn't breathe for a second, but he said he was fine the very next day. So, in fact, I just saw him actually last weekend for the first time since the fight, and guess he's doing okay, but he hasn't been training at all. So, what's the best way to train for pancration? You train striking with wrestling shoes. You can do either. I mean, it's up to you. I don't like to wear shoes personally, but yeah. Yeah, I hope he does. I think it is a wake up call. I told him, "Don't you ever do that shit without getting a hold of me first." I would have never let him do it if he asked me. I would have said, "No, you got to train, dude." So what was funny is the day he did it, the very next day we took guys down to some fights to represent our gym. And what's funny is he could have been training with us, getting ready for either that or the fights we went to, but didn't even train. Brody's asking, what's his full name? What's the video called? Just look up. I'm not going to give you his full name, but the Flintstone Kid, and they spell kid Kyd. So Street Beefs, Flintstone Kid, you'll see it. Can you die if hit in the throat? I don't know what that means. Like if you get slammed hard, yeah, you could die. I mean, anything can happen. So yes, exactly. Street Beefs is not a they're not ran by the commission. That's for sure. So that's why they're doing it out in places where they can't get caught. So yeah. Yeah, thank you, Misfit. So anyway, yeah, MMA and just fighting in general, guys, is dangerous. Just depends on the situation. A lot of guys They get knocked out and then they seem to be okay. They wake up and look at Gino. He wants to do a street beef fight. One of my students is in here, guys. Gino, you guys probably seen Gino. He's been in a few of the videos. So, yeah, sometimes guys get knocked out and they seem to be okay because they wake up, they're coherent, and I'm not obviously people get knocked out all the time. I'm sure many of you guys have been knocked out before, but I've been knocked out, but you just never know what it's gonna do, and it might be that bad one. Your head hits the canvas a certain way, guy hits you just right with a certain strike. However it happens, it might be fatal. You never know. I mean, it's not realistic that it happens every day, but it does and can happen. So, and you also don't know what kind of long-term damage it does. Who knows? Maybe I'll remember more things if I didn't have so many concussions. So, but I seem to be pretty sharp, I think. But who knows? Never know. I want me some street beef on my Peterson McDojo burger. Here got the beauty. Oh my goodness, that's funny shit. Oh man. Misfit, I love your videos. Been recommending your channel to my jiu-jitsu gym. Thank you. Yeah, Godspeed. I hope so. Chomp punt, perfect. Hey, Dad, should I fight in an unsanctioned event I could get seriously hurt in? Sure, son, you have my blessing. Father of the year right there. Yeah, well, Corey's father is a good guy. He's a great guy actually, but he's all about living your life. I can't fault him for that actually. I totally get it from some people's point of view. It doesn't sound sensible at all, but at the same time, you got to live your life. You can't wrap yourself in a plastic bubble either. So anything can happen. You can go snowboarding and get way worse than street beefs. You never know. You got to live too. I wouldn't have done it, but it was their choice. Yeah, yeah. I got the training dummies. So this is gonna be my training partner tonight. We're gonna be beating up on those three dudes. So, man, it's getting pretty cold in here. The heater just turned off, but might have to turn that thing up a little bit. I always cringe at the street shoes on the mat on street beefs. When they were at the gym using the cage, you could see all kinds of nasty footprints. Yeah, I've been around that for a long time. It happens. People come straight from jiu-jitsu. It's hard for them to see it. I come from wrestling and jiu-jitsu, so I see both sides. No, it's not a smoke damaged voice, Johan. It's just I forgot this it's been like a month and a half now. Um, my throat from coughing. I got a cough over on Christmas Day. I got a cough, and it's just been bad ever since. So I'm feeling a lot better, but it's just bad. Corey Fato MMA or Fatoma. Hey, coach, what are your thoughts on people saying 12 to 6 elbows or knees are effective defenses from shots, singles, etc. Um, what are my thoughts? Well, anything's possible, but 12 to 6 elbows typically aren't nearly as effective as traditional martial arts would lead you to believe. Um, they can be, especially if you know how to defend takedowns. Like I could use 12 to 6 elbows fairly well because I know how to wrestle. But for someone who only knows 12 to 6 elbows and they don't know how to wrestle, it's usually not effective. It usually just gets you off balance. Um, Knees, effective for defending shots. Well, yeah, if you time a knee right, it works great. If you can do that, it works great. But it should be coupled with grappling and wrestling training. That's something many people don't understand. So, what happens is you guys watch the UFC. So, you watch the highest level of competition. These guys know how to wrestle. These guys know how to take people down and how to not get taken down. Due to that fact, they then are able to implement great counter striking versus wrestling. The problem is everyone watches that on TV. Then what they see is they see a knee by Masvidal against Askren, let's say. And so they go, oh, that's how you stop a wrestler. You just knee him. It's no problem. Look at that. 7 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever it was. You just knee him in the face. It's no problem. Goodbye, wrestler. But guys, if it was that easy, um, don't you think everybody'd be able to just stop every single takedown? It doesn't work that way. It's much harder than people realize. And your odds go up the more you understand wrestling. Masvidal was a wrestler himself, so he understands it. He's more familiar. He's got good jiu-jitsu too. So he's not worried if he does get taken down. So it's worth a shot. So I've had fighters of mine do the same thing and knock guys out with knees. Usually it's not a 12 to 6 elbow, but you will see the 12 to 6 elbows in the old days of the UFC, and you had traditional martial artists try them. They usually failed. I'm not saying they can't work though. If you know how to defend a single leg and you want to throw an elbow, it's probably not going to be a direct 12 to 6. You could do it, but even just elbows like kind of sideways, legal elbows, they work great. So, off topic. My first coach didn't roll with me until I had been at his gym for 5 years. Is that normal? Not usually, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know his story, T. Willie. Um, I'm getting older. I don't roll that much, but I always make sure when people are students that I grab them. I make sure that I show them a few things. I spend time with them, personal time. Um, and then occasionally I'll break out and roll. I've been like taking it real easy lately. But yesterday I rolled a little bit with people. Took on a guy who was like 320 pounds yesterday. So I even went with the big dudes. Um, so it's I understand not rolling. It's kind of odd that he wouldn't roll with you, and then 5 years later he'd roll with you. I don't know how did it go. So I don't know. I think typically it's the other way around. So I think usually they roll with you in the beginning, and then you get good, and then the instructor says, "I don't want to touch him anymore. He's too tough." I think that happens quite a bit with people, especially probably an older instructor with an ego. Maybe he doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't want to get beat by a student or something, and then he won't roll with his student. So I think that's the more common thing. Is 27 kind of old to do pancreation? Been a blue belt for a year, only competed once and lost. No, Misfit, it's not too old. You're still good. 27 is great. I would say all the way up to early 30s is all fair game. Once you hit early to mid 30s, things start to slow down. You don't lose your strength, but it's definitely not the same as your 20s. So all of your 20s, you should be good. In fact, 27 is a great age. It's one of my more favorite years were my late 20s. So, JS spam or J spam, K spam. What happened? Not a big deal. I explained it earlier. My neighbor's house or my neighbor's garage caught on fire, and luckily the fire department was able to put it out before it reached my unit. We're all in a townhouse, so 3 units connected, and it's a good thing that they called 911 and got the fire put out. So I'm here in the gym to sleep here tonight. Do you need to be athletic and explosive to be an effective double leg takedown artist? Also, is a gi a waste of time for MMA? Ethiopian Phenomenon asks. Um, First question. Being athletic and explosive is certainly nice, but no, you just need to be trained. I mean, I don't consider myself athletic and explosive. I think that what I do is learned. There are guys that I meet that are very athletic and explosive, and I'm not like them. So someone asked this a while back, is a double leg, they can't get the double leg, they like single legs because of the angles. And guys, a double leg's effective. You got to make angles. It's the same thing. You got to make an angle. You got to have a setup for a double leg and make an angle. Is a gi a waste of time for MMA? No, it's not a waste of time. I'm not going to say that. Just like I don't think that training Taekwondo is a waste of time, or training boxing is a waste of time. Isn't boxing a waste of time? I mean, you're only punching. MMA has grappling, kicking, kneeing, elbowing. Boxing should be a waste of time. No, it's all going to make you better. If you went and did some Taekwondo and got better at your kicks, it can help you for MMA. If you want to train in the gi, man, it's grappling. You're going to learn leverage. You're going to learn balance. You're going to learn movements. It's good. If you want to compare gi versus no gi, no gi is clearly better when it comes to MMA. Clearly. I mean, it's pretty obvious. But it's not a waste of time. That doesn't make it a waste of time. Just like I would say it's more useful to train kickboxing than it is to train boxing for MMA. It is. I mean, it just plain is. If you're only doing boxing, you are not as prepared for MMA. So it would be better to get more realistic. So same as jiu-jitsu, and you have gi and no gi. McGregor versus Masvidal. Who wins? Guys, I'm a big McGregor fan. So I like Masvidal too, but I would have to pick McGregor. I know that it's getting a little bit, he could be biting off more than he can chew, going up a weight class, but my opinion is clearly the better fighter of the two. So yeah, let me skip down. Coach, hope you and your family doing well. Yes, they are. How can I convince my father to let me fight MMA? Greetings from Mexico, Norberto Peralta. How can you convince your father to let me fight MMA? Like Corey's dad? Yeah, I don't know, just tell him Street Beefs is in town. Ciao from Italy, Benito Umbaka. Very nice to meet you. Bashiro, coach, what's your opinion on Khabib versus Tony? Guys, Khabib Khabib versus Tony. I'm gonna pick Khabib. I think Tony's good. I don't think what a lot of people think. Like, there's a lot of Tony fans that think he's gonna use 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu to submit Khabib. Doubt that would happen. I think for Tony to win, it would probably be some crazy strike, some elbow or something like that. It's possible he could darce him. I don't think that he would win that way. That wouldn't be the way that I would pick. I think it would probably be with striking. But, you could get him tired too. Tony's a maniac. Anything's possible. First college BJJ tournament is coming up with UCSD, UCI, UCLA, USC, a couple other ones. Would you be interested in coming? That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'd love to go. If I have time, I'd love to go. Cebus. All right. Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, the house is all right. Fire department, put it out. My grandma hates my ears. Oh, that's funny. How do you think fighters from the early days like Keith Hackney would fare in the UFC now that it has become a regulated sport? No, Corey. Keith Hackney wouldn't do very well, but then again, many fighters from back in the day wouldn't do very well. It's just an evolved sport. It's changed. It's gotten better. It's just the way it is. If you take any of the guys from back in the day, take Royce Gracie, the guy that beat Keith Hackney. You guys all saw how he did with Matt Hughes. Oh, coach, is that real? I don't know what that means. Is what real? So, man, it's midnight here, guys. I'm going to have to bounce pretty soon. I know this isn't the most exciting live I've ever done. Do you do any prehab or injury prevention exercise? I'm terrible. So, Daniel's asking, Daniel, you guys would probably, an exercise guy would probably freak out if they saw what I do. I do not warm up. I warm up with technique. That's what I do. I just do my technique slow, and I make sure I'm aware. My mind is aware of what I'm doing, and I do my best to do it in a good, slow manner that I'm not going to get hurt. That's what I do. So I don't do much other exercising, guys. I do martial arts. That's what I do. I'm very different than most instructors in that. And warm-ups at my gym are almost non-existent. So I do them in some of the classes, but most of the classes I say, all right, guys, let's grab a partner. It's the very first thing I do. Guys, get a partner. All right, let's get a 2-on-1, get a pommel position. Here, let's do some duck unders. Let's do some arm drags. I like to warm up with technique and just move slow till you feel ready to go, and then start throwing each other around. Start doing takedowns. So, or just warming up on the mat. I'll say, hey, get a partner, get a half guard, get a lockdown. Let's go ahead. Let's whip up, get up on the side, set them up for the electric chair. The rest is history. So I understand how to defend a guillotine when you go for a double or a takedown. But what do guillotine specialists do to thwart the proper guillotine defenses, like Brian Ortega? Ethiopian Phenomenon asks. Great question. So, really good question. One thing that the guillotine guy does is he guillotines, let's say the head's on this side. He knows that if your head's over here, you want your legs over here. So he's going to throw his right leg all the way over, and it's going to stop you from cartwheeling, getting to the side. And he's going to keep his hips out on the side so he has an effective crunching guillotine, if not a high elbow. And then that way he can finish you or at least sweep you. So that's one big thing. Sunday, April 26th in UCLA. That sounds cool. It sounds like a wrestling weekend, but in fact, that sounds like Greco State, CBIS. I don't have it. It's usually the last week of April. Is Greco for youth and freestyle for high school. So I will probably be in Fresno, California at the state championships. All right. You're welcome, Misfit. Thank you. I'm going to be finishing up, guys. Do you do flow rolling? Yes, we do flow rolling at our gym. That's a great way to warm up. That's right. Kai rides Azizan. Flow rolling is great to explore using other techniques. If you could train, Corey's asking, if you could train in any other discipline for the sake of training in it or just wanting to try, what would you choose? You know what? I would love to train in judo. But again, I say that as a grappler, I'm kind of biased. I would love to train more in judo. It's probably my biggest weakness as far as grappling goes. It would be judo. Obviously, I'm much more wrestling heavy. I am influenced by judo. I've learned some things. I have a good buddy that was a pretty good judo player back in the day, and he's taught me a lot of cool stuff. But I definitely would love to work in that direction. So, Silver Fox has a great long video on guillotines with Faraz Hobby. Yes, I've seen it. It's a really good video. Check that out, the Ethiopian Phenomenon. Coach, do you believe that the Ghost Escape, the single best side control escape in Nogi? No, I wouldn't say so, Daniel. Best escape in Nogi is probably just doing your basics, framing, and then hip escaping. There's so many different escapes. That would be probably your first one you need to work on. Kazra asking about Habib and Ferguson fight. Do you think Habib can do what he does to other people to Tony? I think he can, but I think it'll be a lot harder. I do see Habib taking Ferguson down at some point, but Ferguson's so good at scrambling, it may be a little difficult. But at the same time, Ferguson's not real super polished. He's such a wild man. It's part of what makes him great, is his wildness. But it also could go where, because he's so wild, he's making mistakes. Habib's a lot more precise. He's very deliberate with what he does when he grapples. He gets in on a takedown, takes you down, controls you. He doesn't like do wild things. It's not like you're going to see a flying triangle out of Habib. So sometimes when you play a wild style like Ferguson, it just leads to you just getting demolished. And I could see that happening, but I could also see the crazy Ferguson style creating problems. And he does have wrestling experience. He's no pushover. He may be able to, stop Habib. It's an MMA fight, so he may be able to. Yeah, I gotta get going, guys. I'm tired. Love your videos. I'm ghost escaping away from my trading partners. How can we support you without monthly Patreon? Do you got a one-time option? Yes, you can always go to a PayPal link. It's on almost all my newer videos. Just click on the PayPal link and you can always support me. Thank you. So, thank you, Tom. Yes, everything is okay. Thank you. From Norway. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I hope it happens and nobody gets injured. Everybody wants to see that fight, Kazra. What's the coolest thing you've ever seen, grappling related or otherwise? All right, guys, this is going to be the last question. Corey's asking, what's the coolest thing you've ever seen, grappling related or otherwise? The coolest thing I've ever seen. Guys, there's a lot of cool things I've seen. I can only pick one. Not Bigfoot. Skark. Um, you know what, guys? I'll tell you my experience, my story. Okay, this is in 2007. I was in New Jersey at Abu Dhabi. Okay, and I was there to support my teammate and my later on my girlfriend, but at the time my teammate Felicia O. So Felicia O is a Jean-Jacques Machado black belt. She's like one of the first black belts, female black belts in the U.S. One of them, not the first, but she got her black belt really quick, and she's at Abu Dhabi in New Jersey in 2007, and so she had an amazing day at Abu Dhabi, and she beat Megumi Fuji in the semifinals and made the finals, and lost to Sayaka, and who was Megumi Fuji's student actually. It was a really close match, and we didn't win. She ended up taking second in Abu Dhabi. This is actually a painting I have here in the gym, and I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's Felicia O choking out Megumi Fuji. So awesome painting. It's up on our wall here. So so that was an amazing day, but one of the more amazing things that I got to see that day is kind of just makes the day like very memorable. Um, was watching Marcelo Garcia, who already killed it in 2005 uh, in Long Beach, winning his division, and then he ended up coming back and going to the in the absolute, taking third in the absolute, losing to Jacare, and then having that epic match with um, help me out, guys. Homeboy that slammed him, Rico Rodriguez, and so that was in 2005. Now watching him come back, win his division again, beating Pablo Popovich, going into the absolute, taking out all these big dudes, north-south choking everybody, guillotining everybody. During this time, I was heavily into the game of chess at the time, and my favorite chess player, my little chess hero, was Josh Waitzkin. And Josh Waitzkin is the subject of the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. So this is like crazy how all this connects. It's not really a big deal, but it was for me. It's nothing cosmic is what I mean by it. It's not a big deal. So Josh Waitzkin is the subject of the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer that I love. If you guys have not seen that movie, go watch it. And he was an amazing chess prodigy in the U.S., and he never ended up getting to Grandmaster, but he stopped at International Master. and then he got into like Tai Chi, competitive Tai Chi, push hands. They have like a couple styles, fixed step and like moving step or whatever they call it. Then he got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then he's the one who befriended Marcelo Garcia, and they got their academy started in New York. And uh, anyway, Josh Waitzkin was in the crowd, and I'm now getting the chance to sit next to Josh Waitzkin, my chess hero, and he and I are watching Marcelo Garcia beat everyone. And of course, he's a fan. I'm a fan too. I had been training much longer than him, and he's watching it, and he's like really overselling Marcelo. Like, oh, I know that's crazy. I'm saying that, but he's talking about Marcelo like he's just the man. He's God. Can't stop him, which he is the man. But I kept telling him, I go, yeah, but this is absolute, bro. I mean, like, I still hadn't forgotten 2 years earlier watching, Jacare, like in like less than a minute, like just grab a Kimura from the closed guard and just pry it out. I mean, size matters. And it seemed like that day, it was going to be that amazing feat of watching the little man, just blow right through everybody. It was almost like watching like Lachlan Giles at this past Abu Dhabi. But sure enough, the luck runs out of the little man. And but he made it all the way to the finals, and he's going against Robert Drysdale. And Robert Drysdale's good, man, guys. He's not just a big man. He's a big man, and he's a technical big man. And I just knew at that moment that that he was a little bit in over his head in this match. That's what I felt. And I kept telling him this is not going to be an easy challenge. I mean, he's given up a lot of weight and skill. And I basically, this moment of getting to sit next to one of my chess heroes right here and watch and witness the finals of Abu Dhabi, and then seeing Robert Drysdale slap a Darce on Marcelo Garcia, my jiu-jitsu hero, losing in the finals. And so it was very sad for me to watch Marcelo lose, but at the same time, I was also vindicated. I was like, yes, I told you. And, Josh was just dumbfounded at that moment. He couldn't believe what happened, and he didn't know what it was. And I told him, I said, that's a Darce. I was big on the Darce. I had a match with Jeff Glover and a couple years earlier, and I'm very familiar with the Darce. Jeff had me in a Darce, and I was able to get out, but I knew the Darce well, and I told him, I go, he got Darced. I go, hit him with the setup right off the single leg. You can't shoot on people and extend your arm. You extend your arm, it's right there, and he gets Darced and gets choked, and it's funny because Josh Waitzkin, I respect him so much, and I think at that moment he didn't know me. Obviously, he didn't know me that well, even though we were spending time together and talking the whole time. He couldn't trust me, when I tell him, oh, you just got Darced. And he's like, what was it? And he calls to his Brazilian instructor. There was an older Brazilian man. And he said, what was that? What was that? And the Brazilian guy goes, anaconda. And I was like, it's not an anaconda. I said, it's close. It's similar. They are, close moves, similar but different. And I go, it's called a Darce. Some people call it a Bravo choke. Nogi Bravo. So anyway, that was my little cool story for the day. So that was a pretty amazing day. I got to have dinner with Josh and his father, so who's also portrayed in the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. So it was a really good trip. And Felicia taking second in Abu Dhabi, and then not to make the story too sad, but it was also the weekend that my friend Jeremy died. So for those of you guys that knew Apex Jiu-Jitsu, Jeremy passed away and committed suicide that weekend. So I'll never forget that weekend in 2007. It was that's my little story. So kind of had some amazing moments and then also some sad moments. So anyway, guys, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys so much. There's so much more to come. There's always things that I want to show you guys. Like I said, I got a brand new shoulder lock coming up. So maybe not brand new. I mean, it's been done before, the first part, but I got a lot of new stuff that I'm gonna give you. So some finishing touches on a shoulder lock that are gonna be new. It's gonna be all new, cool shit. Anyway, hopefully it'll probably just wow you, and it may not be as combative if you have an opponent that doesn't play into your game, but I'm working on it. So I gotta try to make it better. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. You have a good night. And I'll be back with more great stuff. Take it easy.